Doma Sports Talk worldwide with some news from the world of boxing. So y'all know what time it is. You ain't in a rush to get concussed. Now, heavyweight champion of the world, WBC style and lineal, right? Tyson Fury beat the hell out of Dillian Whyte. Beat the hell out of him. I'm not sure if he even lost a round. Stopped him in round 6 with an uppercut, which now is going to be considered the kryptonite of Dillian Whyte, right? And he got hit with a right uppercut this time, and last time I think it was a left uppercut from Povetkin, and a one-punch knockout for Tyson Fury, the guy who was pretty much feather-fisted considering his size, but I guess working with my man from Kronk Gym as proving him to be right. You know, there's knockouts coming, regardless if it's Wilder or Dillian Whyte. And I don't think Tyson Fury lost the round really, maybe one. I think Tyson Fury thoroughly beat the living daylights out of Dillian Whyte, in my opinion. He didn't, really hit him all fight. You know what I mean? It's not like Dillian Whyte was all bloodied up or anything like that. But I just don't think that Dillian Whyte was really winning the rounds. I even got to the point to where I thought Dillian Whyte after round maybe 2 or 3 started thinking he was going to lose. I'm gonna tell you why, because I watched Dillian closely. I watched this in the Anthony Joshua fight back when I was really going for Dillian Whyte. I don't like Dillian Whyte or Tyson Fury anymore, but I did like Dillian Whyte. I was going for him against Anthony Joshua when they fought. He did a good job considering he had one arm in that fight. I think his left arm was shoulder was totally messed up where he couldn't even throw the left hook, which is his favorite punch. But when he figured out he was going to lose, he starts doing things. The Mike Tyson syndrome. Like, okay, I'm going to be hitting after the break. I'm trying to hit you behind the head. Those look to me like somebody trying to get out the fight. And he kept doing it against Tyson Fury. He did it against Anthony Joshua when he was about to lose after when the bell rang. Then he keeps trying to swing. These are guys that are trying to get out of the fight, in my opinion. It looks cool. It looks like they're tough and look like they're upset. For me, I'm looking through that. I don't see that. Just like Mike Tyson against Evander Holyfield. Some people say, well, he bit his ear. Tyson's crazy. No, he's not. Tyson's calculated, in my opinion. He lost the first fight against Evander Holyfield. In a fair fight, Mike Tyson hit him with everything he had. Matter of fact, in round 1, hit him with a right hand. But this guy fought, broke him down, and beat him. And in the second fight, Mike Tyson never loses rounds ones in his career. He doesn't lose round 1 because the other person's so damn scared. And this is a guy who beat him in round 1, and his ear got bit in round 2 because Tyson knew he wasn't winning. Right? And this is what Dillian Whyte does. So I knew Dillian Whyte was basically trying to get out the fight, in my opinion, because he kept trying to do stuff. Right? That's what that looks like to me. So, I think Dillian Whyte, we said, bottom line, he's much more skilled than Deontay Wilder. He's got 2 hands, he's got the left hook and the right, and all of this. But much more skilled than Deontay Wilder, had less of a chance than a Deontay Wilder. And I'm going to mention Deontay Wilder a lot in this video because I think that's the bottom line is, like Tyson Fury says, Deontay Wilder is the second best heavyweight. That's what Tyson Fury says. Deontay Wilder did a lot better than Dillian Whyte did against Tyson Fury. In all the fights. The second fight was so much controversy with Wilder and Fury that it really doesn't count. The first fight, Deontay Wilder won the damn fight. Right? And anybody who doesn't think so, just remember, you can look at the fight, and if Wilder has won 3 rounds, anywhere 3 rounds, then he wins the fight, because he got 4 points in the 2 knockdown round. And everybody lives this myth, because narrative will just say it over and over, Tyson Fury won the fight. Well, take Deontay Wilder's knockdowns out. Don't look at the rounds where Deontay Wilder knocked Fury down in the first fight. Don't look at him. Look at the rest of the fight. Look from rounds 1 through 6 and tell me Tyson Fury won those rounds. All of them. Right? Because remember, when the guy who's pushing the action, pressing the action, normally wins, especially if he's a champion. We didn't judge like that in that fight. So I'm just saying. And then Deontay Wilder had the guy down in those three fights four times, 2 of which Tyson Fury didn't get up on time. So that's what Tyson Fury is coming from when he's saying Deontay Wilder. Which, yeah, we know he's not skilled, but I personally think it's a skill to knock people out with an average weight of 20 pounds more than you, to knock people out 40 times consecutively. That is a skill, in my opinion. What other skill you want to have in boxing is a skill that means I'm knocking you out, putting your lights out. What other skills we talking about? Right? That's one of them. That has to be one, and one of the most important ones, to be honest with you. I can knock you out with one punch in the middle of at any time. That's a skill, okay? So, therefore, Dillian Whyte, with this myth, he's been waiting for so long to get a championship fight, right? He shouldn't have been able to get this one after being knocked out by Povetkin and coming right back in and beating Povetkin when we know something was wrong with him coming off the corona, and then all of a sudden now he's there. Another thing with Dillian Whyte, this is what upset me, and this is why I didn't like him anymore, is they would allowed him to not fight Louis the Real King Kong Ortiz. Guys, that's a fight that we as boxing fans should have seen already. If it was 5 years ago, 4, 3, 2, 1 years ago, a few months ago, that is a huge heavyweight fight, which probably isn't as big right now. And that's a travesty. Those two tough guys against each other around the same size, one a southpaw, one orthodox, both mean. That would have been just an awesome fight. And it was the biggest fight in boxing other than the championship fight. And sometimes even championships fights are not as big as that fight. So now we won't get it. Let's see what happens going forward. We hear Tyson Fury is going to retire. I don't believe all that stuff. And if he did, like I told you in another video, I just think Tyson Fury has to lay low. But he was allowed to fight in England. No one mentions his boxing license, so he's got away with that. Let's see what it is going forward. But I will say this. He's got to get himself prepared for those uppercuts if he's going to keep fighting Dillian Whyte, because that seems to be the kryptonite. I don't know where Dillian Whyte goes from here, right? But sometimes, he looked a little bit shaky on his feet in this fight. I don't know what that was, but it's still Dillian Whyte, right? Even though I'm not a Dillian Whyte fan, nor am I a Tyson Fury fan, but Tyson Fury is the best heavyweight right now, right? I think there's some cheating and some shenanigans going on with Tyson Fury. I don't have to think this is proven. He's cheated on several occasions with his gloves. He's cheated with being doped on 2 different occasions. This is not just, singular things that happen. You cheated twice with your gloves. Before, not even counting the Deontay Wilder cheating. I'm talking about John McDermott and Christian Hammer. You've been cheated with cocaine and nandrolone, right? And you lied about Martin Carefoot. There's just too much going on with the guy, right? When I see him down, he gets as many seconds as he needs to get up. So those things, I don't care. It's not really Tyson Fury. It's that people all of a sudden, just because he looks this way, they don't care about these transgressions. That's where the issue is. It's really about society. It's like, hey, man, wait a minute. We don't really like cheaters, and we don't like the biggest guy in here on dope. We don't really like that because that's not fair to the others. But with this, it just doesn't apply. So there's where my issue. And when it comes to Dillian Whyte, it's just, all this stuff that, he kept talking to Wilder instead of, hey, just beat Ortiz and you get anybody, right? So he was obviously avoiding Ortiz, and then everybody let him get away with saying it was 1,000 days he was waiting, and those things with Ortiz kept happening in between. He just didn't want to do it, right? Matter of fact, when it comes to IBF, he could have went and fought Kubrat Pulev, but he didn't. So there's, he kept doing what he wanted to do, but keep saying that the WBC had him waiting, and that was not really the case. And most people in boxing know that. And so when you just see that when it comes to narrative, they would just say things over and over when it's not wrong, when it's not right. Like, hey, Kambosos is undisputed, knowing that we just not right. Teofimo is undisputed. Why are you saying that when you guys know boxing? So that is patronizing to me, stuff like that. Right? Dillian Whyte's been waiting over 1,000 days. Y'all know that's not the case. Stop saying it. And, so that's what I'm trying to tell you. My point is, when these companies decide this is what the narrative is going to be, this is what they're going to do. And when it comes to Tyson Fury, we know that we saw them gloves. We know that this has happened and that has happened, but we're not going to talk about it. And so therein lies, for me, the problem, right? Like, if there's a few people in boxing that are not cheating, then we should be fans of them. Both of these guys have been cheating and on drugs. Dillian Whyte with his fight against the brother from what is his brother from Brazil? Baldhead brother is fighting Bridgerweight right now. When he fought him, he was dope. Didn't even tell him. They let him get away with it. We still didn't wait to get his B sample. Things like that. So those are things that are issues, people. Everybody can act like those things don't happen, but if you ask me who am I going for, the fighters that are doped or those that are not, it's a no-brainer. So there's where the problem is. You see what I'm saying? Doma Sports Talk worldwide, and I'm up out of here, y'all.